All right, I'm on, should be live right now, showing me live on Facebook. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. This is Tyree Thomas Jr. Thank you, Mr. Deonis, for this. What I want to let y'all know, I'm live on Facebook, only on Facebook today. This is Tyree Thomas Jr., also known as the Blog Trucking Preacher. I'll finish the introduction in a moment. I want to take care of a few things. I want to say thank you to, first of all, Miss Raymond and Manny Highsmith for getting me prepared for today because as you all know, there's some changes that I'm living through, and she's helped me get through that. It started with, especially today. I also want to reach out and say thank you to my very honest brother, Mr. D. Honest, and his name is actually D. Honest because he speaks what's on his mind, and he's not going to be fake with you about it. My brother D. Honest Sylvester, who's helping me on the motivational call. Let me do this recording real quick. Let me mute out everybody. And then, all right. All right. I got the recording going. So I'm also on the recording, and I'm also live. How you doing, Lakina? I want to tell everybody, hey, thank you. This is Tyree Thomas Jr., also known as the Blog Trucking Preacher. I want to tell everybody that is listening in and everybody that is that's on Facebook Live. I'm only live on Facebook today. Normally, I would be on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter also, but I'm only live today. I want to thank everybody for your prayers and everything. I'm going to tell you what my topic is today. I'm not going to be before you long because I'm living through this process, but it's something that I'm going to share with you all that was taught to me. And it was taught to me by a young lady that some of you may not be aware of, but I was in my 40s when I learned this. I was made aware of it, but right now I want to give kudos out to a very special young lady who's special in my heart because she's doing some things and the things that she's doing it in the way that I would do it. So I really gravitate to her like a magnet, and that's Miss Tracy Walker. I really appreciate the things that she does. Now I want you to understand. I'm saying these things because I grew up understanding you give a person their flowers while they yet live because when they're not here, they can't smell them. So I do want to tell her as always, as often as you have an opportunity to let someone know how you appreciate them, you should take that opportunity. Even if it's just to say, I appreciate everything you do. You know, just those short words makes a difference and it gives life into the efforts that they do. So I want to say thank you to Miss Tracy Walker, who also is a fabulous mom of a little boy King that she's raising, just Mr. Josiah Tyree Mice. I want to say thank you yesterday for a call. Today I'm doing this midday motivational call. Tomorrow you're going to have at the same time, 11 o'clock Central, 12 o'clock EST, you have the guru of mindset, Mr. Valentino Crawford Jr. He's my brother, and I love that gentleman. He really is. And I'm right here, I'm looking on Facebook Live. I want to say hi to Leonard, my teammate, and also to my cousin that I inherited. Actually, I stole him from my wife, Sylvan John Ellis. He's one of Houston's finest, and he retired, on Houston Police Force. You never find a more understanding, more caring other man. Then tomorrow, like I said, Mr. Valentino Crawford is going to do the call. But then on Thursday, we're going to have a young man. I used to call him the boy James, but he was not a boy at that time. But he's young enough to be. He's to like 20-something years a senior. His name is Mr. Brian King. He's a walking process of wisdom, and to call in on the Wednesday and Thursday, it would be a true blessing. Now, on Friday would be Mr. Herschel Chalk, a well-traveled young man, a well-versed young man. Not only is he a man of wisdom, but he's a man of knowledge to understand life at the age that he is. He's a wonderful father, and he is very active in the life of his children. But I want to say thank you to all of them. Again, I'm Tyree Thomas Jr., the Blog Trucking Preacher. And Ms. Walker allowed me to have the opportunity today to speak. And what I want to talk to you about is something that we all experience, but we may not realize that it's an experience that we are having. And when we do, we have to understand what has to be done. See, we all have this experience called life. And in life, we learn some things, and the process that of the call that we go through of learning is called programming. Well, with that programming, and I'll cover that some other time. With that programming, it sets up the way that we live our life. Now, as we live our life, we become into an understanding that there are some things that are different, and because of that, we want to reverse that. And when you want to reverse things, it's called change. And when I come to understand, hey, Ramonia, hey, Eric, I come to understand that and when it comes to change, a lot of times people want to change, they want to experience these changes. Change is going on all around us, but they don't understand how to reverse what they're going through. So as a result of that, I learned something from a young lady named Miss Andrea Blackley. If you follow her on Facebook, she has on Facebook Andrea Ashton Morton Blackley. I learned this from her in some training, some real life training that she was providing to us. And she has an acronym for change. It's called Choose Happiness and Never Give Excuses. That's right. And each one of those alphabets in change is a part of that acronym. Choose happiness. Choose is C, happiness is H, and never give excuses. A is and, give is G, excuses is E. Choose happiness and never give excuses. So what I want you to understand is that if for those of you that are seeing me on Facebook, right now you can see I'm like in a chokehold with a neck collar, and I'm loving every minute of it. I choose to love it and not to love it because I have to go through a process. I have to live through. And let me tell you this before I give you the 4 elements of change. I don't go through anything. See, I don't go through anything. I live through everything. I'm living eternal. I'm an eternal living being. I'm gonna always exist now because I know that there's an eternity after this physical experience that I'm living through called life. The reason why I don't go through anything because I'm not going to stop living. When you go through things, you have the reality of being stopped. When you're going through things, when you're going through traffic in a car, when you're going through things, you have the ability to be stopped. That's why when you're going down the street in a car, they have this big red sign called stop. And it's when you have to stop, that means you're no longer going. Now, as long as you stop, you're sitting still and everything else is moving except for you. But then if you want to change that situation, you have to go. You have to go. So for me, since I know I'm not going to stop living, I do not go through anything. I live through everything. I live through this experience. And there was a point in time that came in my life to where I realized the experience that I was living through needed to experience. I needed to experience a redirection. I needed to experience a redirection, which is what I'm experiencing in my health right now, so that I can have a better experience in life, and in life becomes more of a quality of experience for me. Now, the other reason why I tell you that I don't go through things, because what caused me to realize this change is I was in an auto accident some years back. We were going up the freeway, and all of a sudden we stopped, and I'm not going to get into the story. But again, I learned not to go through anything because although the car stopped, my life continued to go. Yeah, I had to be resuscitated and everything, but I'm still living. So I want to explain to you the 4 elements of change. You see, there are things that as I was saying, in our life, one of the things that's positioned us to live through life the way we live is called programming. There are some elements to there are some elements, some steps to program. You know, some ways that you become programmed through verbal things you hear, things you see, things that you feel, your kinesthetic feeling, verbal, hearing, and we're trying, yeah, hearing, seeing, and feeling. Those things make those are the process that you go through of being programmed. But the things that program you cause you to live life in the way that you're living. And when you realize you want to redirect what's going on in your life, you realize that there's something that needs to change. So the reason why I didn't understand some things, because I didn't understand what I needed to do to undo some things. I knew some things needed to be undone in life, but I did not understand how to undo them. See, a lot of times in life, people know things has to be done. They know they have to change who they are. It isn't that they don't want to do it. The reason why it doesn't get done is not because they don't want to do it. They don't understand. They don't understand, or they don't know the steps to undo it. See, some things that we need to understand, and we are not taught in our public education, and there are reasons why, and I'll explain that later. But just let me throw this key in. Look up the Prussian system, and you'll understand why. Prussian system, and you'll understand why. Yes, the Prussian educational system, and you'll understand why. Now, the four elements of change. The four elements of change. The four elements of change. And I'll say it again. The four elements of change. The first element of change is awareness. The second element of change. Excuse me, I'm just having a little issue here. The second element of change is understanding. The third element of change is disassociation. The fourth element of change is reconditioning. I'll say it again, and then I'll break them down shortly. Hey, Tyson, good to see you. Hey, Shahida, I love me some Miss Shahida Akbar, y'all. Hey, Misty, I'm calling out my friends on Facebook. The fourth element, Miss LaShondra Jackson. You all should hear her. Her nickname is Songbird. She can go. Again, I'm going to tell you again. The first element, there are four key elements. Four key elements of change. Okay, awareness is the first one. Understanding is the second one. Disassociation is the third one, and reconditioning is the fourth one. You see, this element, this thing called change, is one of the reasons why people continue to live their life in the way that they do. People are conditioned to think that it's a badge of honor to be poor, but yet they serve a God that's rich. How can you serve a God that's rich and you say you're a child of the king, but yet you feel that it's wrong to be rich? It's because of the programming that you've experienced growing up. And at the same time, when you realize that there's something wrong about being poor, but yet desiring to be rich, and when you mention that you want to be rich, you feel bad. You begin to feel bad and you don't understand why. It's because of the programming. And then when you realize you want to get to that point to make the necessary steps to change how you feel so you can create the actions to get the results that you want, what happens is you realize you realize you need to have experience a redirection in your life, but you don't know what to do. You don't know the steps to do it. And to be able to do that, you have to experience those four steps. You have to experience, first you become aware. See, when you become aware, then you realize. When you become aware, you realize, now I'm going to give you, along with this, I'm going to give you an action to perform, to experience these changes, to help it to make these elements work in your life. Yes, I'm going to give you what was given to me. I'm not just speaking to you just because I have the opportunity, but I'm speaking to you because God has given me free oxygen to take advantage of the opportunity so I can share with you, because it isn't always pleasant to have to experience a redirection in life. But because you are present, that redirection is available for you to experience. So hey, artist, how you doing, artist? So when you experience this, And Miss Andrea Blackley helped me understand this, and it changed how I felt about money. And when it changed how I felt about money, it changed what the things that I was doing for money. And I had a trucking business up to 10 trucks. It wasn't what I wanted to do, but it's what I thought, it's what I knew how to do to create the realities I wanted to experience in life. Now, I want to tell you something I learned from Mr. Wallace D. Wattles, what really woke me up. Mr. Wallace D. Wattles wrote a trilogy, The Science of Success, 3 books in one. But in one of those books, he wrote the Science of Being Rich. And it's a biblically sound book. One of the things he wrote that really made me realize I needed to experience the redirection of change, he wrote, no man can be truly happy unless he has everything he wants. No man can be truly happy unless he has everything he wants, because he was created by God, and the God that has everything created him so that man can have everything that he wants. And he also added that the only way a man can be truly happy is to have everything he wants. And the only way that man can get everything he wants is to be rich. That's right, is to be rich. Now, in order to get everything you want, the reason why you have to be rich, Mr. Wallace pointed out, is that you have to have the income, you have to have the funds to purchase everything you want. When you have everything you want, then no longer will you be in want, no longer will you be unhappy, because money is not the root of all evil, it's just the love of money is. But when people understand that they can have what they want and feel good about it, then that's when they realize that they need to change how they feel, because how you feel keep you from doing the actions that you need to do to get the results out of life that you want. Now, that's this thing called fear. I'll touch on that some other time too. See, fear is the opposite of faith. Fear is the opposite of faith. And fear has some relative that goes along with it that makes it even stronger. Fear, doubt, worry. You fear the things that you don't. You fear the unknown things. You fear things of unknown. You fear what other folks are going to say because of the programming that you experienced in life. Then the doubt that you can do the things that you need to do to have the things you want. Because you fear failure, you become doubtful to create the actions to live through failure. And then because you want to do this but never do it, you worry about the condition of life that you experience. It's called, most people, 98% of the people in the world are experiencing the condition of poverty, where you do not have to experience poverty, and it does not necessarily mean poverty in income. It can mean poverty in love. It can mean poverty in friendship. It can mean poverty in knowledge. It can mean poverty. Anything that you're doing without, that you don't have to do without, you experience a life of poverty. You're being impoverished. Okay? So, but you can change those things. And the first thing you have, when you realize that you want to change it, is you become aware of what you don't like. When you become aware of what you don't like, that puts you in a state of awareness to not want it, and yet know that there's something that has to be done so you can be rid of it. That's the first element of change. When you realize what you have to do, then you have to understand the process to get it done so you can get the results that you want. So awareness is the first element of that. When I realized that I needed to make a change, I became aware of who I was and why I was that way. And as I was saying, Miss Andrea Blackley, it really awakened me. And here at that time, I was a minister, but these things were not being taught to me in the body of the congregational body, the religious congregational body that I was in. Now, I had been to several different types of denominations, and I don't have to call them out, but I had never heard this over all the years that I had been living. And when this was brought to my attention, I believe I was 45, 46 years old. 46 years of age. Then after awareness, the second element I realized I had to experience to have the redirection is understanding. You see, by understanding your way of thinking and where it originates, you can recognize that it has to come from outside. See, what is happening on the inside of you, you will create the physical actions to show on the outside what you are feeling on the inside. Now, outside of you, the verbally, the seeing, the feeling, those things has to be reorganized. Now, earlier I was talking to you about fear. I want to give you some key points about fear. We're only born with we're only born with three elements, with three factors of fear: the fear of falling, the fear of loud sound, the fear of abandonment. You make a loud noise around a baby, they're gonna jump because they don't know what that is. They fear that. The fear of falling. You know, when a child is learning to walk, the first thing they do when they're falling, you never see a child fall flat. They always put their hands out in front of them. That signals an element of fear. Then the fear of abandonment. Why do babies cry? It isn't that something is wrong with them. They don't necessarily have to be wet, hungry, hurting. They cry because they feel abandoned. And when you walk in the room, they stop crying. So we are only born with three elements of fear: the fear of falling, the fear of abandonment, and the fear of loud noises. Why am I telling you that? Because all the other elements of fear we learn alone as we live through life. That is part of that program. And when you have to go through the element, the redirection of change, you become aware of that. And when you start becoming aware of some things, you then become knowledgeable of understanding that those things has to be changed. Now, when you do that, then the next thing you do, the next step is called disassociation. When I realized that I needed to, when I realized and became a knowledge of understanding of what I had to do, you know, to go through that change, I began to understand that, hey, Erica, how you doing? Hey, Terrence, how you doing? Terrence Jones, Miss Erica Colvin, these are some of my Dream Team family members. And when I realized that I had to go through disassociation, I had to put some space between friends that I had because their conversations then were not in alignment with my conversation. I had to disassociate myself from some of the places I went because no longer was I comfortable in that environment. You see, environment is one of the factors that program us. Is a tyrant in our life. Our environment has our environment. It plays a factor in programming our life. It is one of the ways that we learn how we live our life. We learn ways to live our life. Mr. Armandino, in the greatest salesman in the world, gave 4, 5, 8 reasons why people have habits. Because I'll get into that next week. How we live our life, and one of the factors that he mentioned in our life was environment. Environment that we're in determines the way that we grow up living our life. How you doing, Karen? And so again, that part of that is an ingredient that help us understand what we have to do when we go through the third element of change, which is disassociation, because Tyree had to disassociate himself with different things that was not in agreement with the way that I wanted to live my life. It was not in agreement with the things that I needed to do to have the experience in my life. It was not in agreement in the things that I wanted to have. So you have to understand that you have to disassociate yourself with some things, with some people, with some environments. You have to part away with some things that you have. That doesn't mean that that, you know, if you disassociate yourself with anyone, it doesn't mean that you are better than them. And I had to understand that so that I wouldn't feel bad. It didn't mean that I wasn't that I was becoming better than someone. I was just developing myself to have the things in life that I wanted, because I wanted a better life. I wanted to have a better experience at this experience we call life. So I had to disassociate myself with the things that were stopping me from having what I want. Because when you make mention of of wanting wealth, see, it is our birthright to have wealth. It is our birthright to have wealth. Go to Deuteronomy. Matter of fact, look in the back of your Bible, the concordance, and look up the word wealth. And you'll go to Deuteronomy and you'll see what is your birthright to have wealth. And the reason why I was not having wealth is because I was feeling bad about me wanting to have that. And then as a result, I was doing a lot of hard work because I was taught that you have to work hard to have the things you want. You don't have to work hard. It ain't hard for God to be God. It's easy for God to be God. It's just hard for us to do the things that we want to do, that God blessed us to do, because of the way we've been taught to do them. Because of the way we've been taught to do them. That's right. So when I realized that, I had to disassociate myself in some of the things that I was taught. And I had to break away for a while. Disassociation don't mean that it's over with, done, and you kick rocks. It just means that you need to put a space of time. You have to put a space of time so that you can do that. Now, when you put a space of time in that dissociation, it's called reconditioning, because you have to go through a process. Reconditioning, how about you go to the pot to go and look up the potter's house in your Bible. See, I'm telling you how to use the Bible and to apply to your life. The Bible is the most principle-based book we have. But these elements I'm sharing with you are principles of life that you can apply them to your life. And when you apply them, means you do those things through action. And when you apply them to your life, then you'll start getting results in life that you want. How you doing, Kim? So when you apply those things during your disassociation, you will be reshaped. You'll become a different person. And you look up and you look up the potter's house, you'll see where God was giving you an example of what he does with clay. The same thing you can do with your life. Your life does not have to keep hurting. See, in life, I was hurting, not just as a person, but my life was hurt because I kept hitting stop signs to get the things that I want. I made over $1 million in trucking, but I was still hurting because of the way I had to go, the things I had to go through to get it. And I was not enjoying life. When you are not, and I quote, when you are not enjoying life. Hey, James Hill, my friend all the way from Armwood. Hey, David, when you are not enjoying life, when a person is not enjoying life, then therefore it is a signal that their life is hurting. It is a signal. It is a signal. It is a signal that their life is hurting. My life was hurting. I had to experience change. Now I'm on my way out of here, and I want to give you the action steps to apply to your life so that you can have the results in life that you want. See, I've come to understand the Bible is the what to do. The principles of life of how we do it. The Bible is the what to do. The principle of life and how we do it. Then that comes an understanding of why we do it and when. But what I also come to understand in church, we're always told what to do that the Bible said do, but we're never told how to do it. Now, if you get this book called Conquering Fear by Lisa Jimenez, it'll tell you how to conquer fear. If you get this book called The Science of Getting Rich by Mr. Wallace D. Wallace, it has biblical principles in there that tells you the action steps you need to perform to get the results out of the Bible that you want. If you look at, you follow Mr. T. Harv Eker, The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. There are principles. Principles are untimely truth. Untimely truth in life that will allow you, that are not going to change. Before you were born, when the morning came, it was called day. and the night came, it was called night. Darkness came, it was called night. That's not going to change. That was happening before you got here. It's going to happen when you leave here. God spoke those in existence. So those are principles. Those are timeless truths. They're not going to change regardless of what time of eternity it is until God changes. So these things I'm telling you, it does not just apply to me, but it applies to you if you live through it, if you do it and live through it. So on my way out of here, I want to give you 3 action steps. The first action steps for awareness is write down all the statements that you heard about money, wealth, rich people. Write down all the action steps you heard about the things that people tell you you can't do. What are the things that are being done? If you want to become a professional football player like I wanted to become, and I went to 2 training camps, but yet people told me that I could never be good enough to play pro ball, but I made it to 2 training camps, and a lot of people never got that far. What do I learned what I had to do. The things doing when you're doing that shows action. I wrote down the things I had to do to get the results out of life that I want. So that's your first action step. When you become aware of what you want to do, write down the steps to get it done. And okay, then the second thing is your understanding. Write down how you believe the statements have affected your life. If you want to become rich and people are telling you that it's wrong to become rich, again, look up wealth in the Bible. So write down what people say you can't do, but then look at what people are doing. You can become wealthy. And wealth does not just identify with money. It can identify with knowledge. At one time, I didn't even understand how to turn on a computer. But on August the 8th of 2013, I decided I wanted to know how to operate, how to do things through the internet. And over a process of time, I became very knowledgeable of doing something that people say I couldn't do. I even learned how to type when I was in a wheelchair. Now, when you learn how to do those things, you're living then through the process of change. You can do the things you want to do. You just have to understand the steps to take to get those things done. So I've given you 3 action steps. Write down all the statements that you were told. When you do that, you understand what you have to undo. When you go through the process of undoing it, while you go through the process of undoing it, you have to separate yourself, which is called disassociation. See, when you do that, you separate yourself away from the things or the people or the environment. Then you will then see where you have to be to experience those things. I thank God for the dream team that was founded by Miss Tracy Walker. I thank God for Mr. Valentino Crawford Jr. for organizing the Genius Crew made up of 3 people. Mr. Crawford himself, Miss Ramoni Manicow-Smith, and myself. He works with us to become better people. We are a part of the most fabulous online family organization called the Dream Team. We are helping people experience a redirection in life through a financial revolution, and the tool that we're using that God blessed everyone to have is called foreign exchange. We're learning how to exchange currency. Now, if you look in the Bible, there's a story about talents, and when Jesus gave talents, and then just look at the word talents, and it's in the New Testament, and it would help you. It's in the New Testament. It will help you understand that you are supposed to have the things you want, and that will help you. That will support what Mr. Wallace wrote in The Science of Getting Rich. It will support that you are feeling bad about having things you want because of the people, because of the association, because of the environment that you were in. When people can't have what they want, they begin to feel bad about it. And then when I hear other people saying they want it, or when they see other people having the things they can't have, they speak against it. And speaking against it becomes a program and experience that makes people feel bad about the things that they feel good that they want. So when you don't feel good about doing something, you don't create the right actions to get that which you want. Now, I've gone a little bit longer than I want. I'm beginning to feel the physical effects. But the 4 elements of change, The 4 elements of change, and I'm out of here. The first one is awareness. The second one is understanding. The third one is disassociation. The fourth one is reconditioning. And next week I'll give you the action step with reconditioning. Again, I'm Tyree Thomas Jr., the blog truck and preacher. And every day, in every way, I get better and better. I'll share my story about the process that I'm living through. I'll share that some other time. But I needed to come on and share that and get energy from you all. I thank you all that are looking in on Facebook Live. Share the video. I would really appreciate that. I thank my dream team family members that are giving me life energy through the conference calls, through the communication through Facebook, through social media, those that are calling me. I really, really thank you. I thank my dear wife, Caprice. I thank everyone because this process, Mr. Eric Mulford, man, you can't even imagine. My friend Eric, Mr. Eric Mulford, I love him. You can't even imagine the energy that you're giving me in life, Eric. I really appreciate your training every Friday. Our Uzon training every Friday. Look up Mr. Eric Mulford, you all. I recommend you do that. Look him up on Facebook. But on my way out of here, as I always say, motivation is temporary. Inspiration is everlasting. God's word is inspiring, therefore is everlasting. We know that men who wrote the Bible because they were inspired by God. You can find that in 1 Timothy chapter 3, verse 16. And I want to say, as always, God is speaking through me to you. And I'm very happy to be here to be able to say this. Be blessed, y'all. Be blessed, be blessed, be blessed. And look up the dream team. Look up what we're doing to allow God to work through us to help people experience the changes in life that they want. Eventually, I'll be doing lives daily again. But there are some things that God is allowing me to live through. He's given me the strength to live through it so I can do the things in life that to fulfill the purpose that He has me here to fulfill. I told God I wanted to be here a minimum of 105 years. So He started putting things in place in my life so that I can do that. And when you tell God what you want, you be prepared to receive it because He will give you everything in life that you ask for. You just have to be ready to receive it and live through the process of experiencing it so you can have it. Thank you all for the love. You all have a good day. And again, thank you all. I love my genius crew. I love you all. Thank you, Miss Tracy Walker. You are the utmost. Thank you, Miss Andrea Blackley, and everyone else that tuned in. Be blessed. Bye-bye.